chamo ao palco agora a professora Fiona Murray.
Are we ready to go? Hello. I'm especially impressed that my friend here is going to translate and sign all at the same time. So I think that requires particular skill, and I want to thank you for doing that. So I'm going to wait till you're ready, and I'm ready. Okay? Sounds good. All right, so first I just want to say thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. I want to thank Hudson in particular for the invitation. It's very, very nice to see some really familiar faces. It's amazing to walk into this beautiful museum of tomorrow and on my first visit to Rio, see all sorts of people that I recognize. Alumni from MIT, supporters of MIT REAP, my MIT REAP faculty team and colleagues, and so many people who are really interested in building innovation ecosystems. We know that's an important mission because we know that when we create ecosystems, we also create jobs. We create jobs, good jobs, and we also solve big, important problems. We have been working on our REAP program, working with regions around the world for over a decade now. And with every region, we work with them to think about the really big challenges that they face and the major opportunities that they have in front of them. Some of our regions we have to encourage to think big. But we never really had that problem with Team Rio. Team Rio is from a big city with big ideas, a big vision, and a champion. Can I get some water? And a champion in Hudson who has always thought big from the beginning, but is willing to have those big dreams and bring people along with him on that journey. So we have come as a team. So I just want to also introduce some of my faculty colleagues. They are here with me today. You will have heard from most of them. You heard, I think, from my colleague, Professor Scott Stern this morning. If I know Scott well, you will have heard much from him. You will have seen many slides from him. And the opposite, you'll see only one more slide from me. But we share a huge commitment to the work that our teams do and a huge commitment to the work that Team Rio is doing. We're extremely proud of what you are all doing. You've heard also from my dear colleague, Dr. Phil Button, who's talked about the role that corporations can play in building ecosystems. Shari Lossberg, you will have heard from talking about risk capital, and I know that was just your conversation. And Dr. Lars Froland talking about deep technology and some of the real challenges and opportunities there. My colleague, Professor Cusimano, I think is on the beach somewhere, which is quite funny because he's the most serious amongst us, and yet he has taken the Rio life really seriously and has decided to go to the beach, and we will see him tomorrow morning, we hope. But we are all here with this message, and I think this focus in Rio, not only of the city, but the whole of the Rio region, and this focus on your energy transition, on energy and sustainability, is a perfect example of taking a challenge that is essential and turning it into a huge opportunity. So it is that transformation from challenge to opportunity where I think that this idea of building your ecosystem, of creating the next generation of startups, of bringing stakeholders together, that is so powerful. And you've chosen something that has so much meaning for your city, your region, and your country, but also for the world. I think you're doing this, and you have to do this for the world. What Brazil does, other people watch and see. And so it's really important to us that we support you in what you're doing. And the only thing I would ask you to remember, I smiled when I saw your comment, your quote, to say, let's be the Silicon Valley of energy and sustainability in Rio. Perhaps one day the people in Silicon Valley will say, we need to be the Rio of California. Right? There's lots we can learn from places like Silicon Valley, from places like Boston, from places like Singapore and London. But you need to find your own unique voice. I know in Carnival you find your unique voice with thousands of people, so you need to do that for your innovation ecosystem. And I think there's huge potential to do that, to find your way of bringing the stakeholders to the table, your way of turning energy and sustainability from a challenge to a huge opportunity. And perhaps if I could share one piece of advice that will be familiar to many of you who have spent time with Dr. Phil in the classroom, with myself, with all of my REAP colleagues, and that is to keep all the stakeholders at the table. We might argue that the entrepreneurs are the most important. That's why we put them at the top. But it is a round table, and you will be reminded that each of these stakeholders really matter. As you come together to build this very special ecosystem, right? I think it's important for us to think about the role of entrepreneurs. What do we need all of you to do to build the companies of tomorrow? Particularly those deep tech companies that require you to be impatiently patient. Deep tech requires a lot of patience, but you also have to be impatient and insistent on trying to make progress. We need our investors, our risk capital providers, as I think we probably just heard, to come up with new ways of funding. It's not enough just to use traditional venture capital models. We have to think about the role of sovereign wealth funds, of growth funds. We have to think about the contributions from different capital sources, how we make sure that we can fund these companies in the long run. I know that you heard from my colleague Lars Froland some provocative ideas. What if we got other stakeholders, governments, regional and national government, to contribute capital in new ways? What if large corporations stepped up in new and different ways? And so what is the role for large corporations? It's not to say, sorry, you're the old generation. It's actually to bring you on the journey with us, because you have the expertise, the supply chain, some of the talent, and you have the capital. And we know, and we're very appreciative, that companies like Petrobras, Electrobras, and others are on this journey with the whole team. It's incredibly important that we bring large corporations and what they have, the assets and resources, on the journey with us. We know the universities play a key role. MIT sees its role in the ecosystem in Greater Boston as helping produce the talent and the ideas, inspiring the next generation, and being a huge engine of ideas and insights. And we want your universities to be at the table doing the same thing. And finally, the government. You know, in many countries in the world, particularly in the US, they will tell you the government should just get out of the way. We know in most of our countries that's not really possible. And actually, we don't actually want that. At its best, the city government, the regional government, the national government can step up and can be a tremendously powerful partner. They can match the investments that we bring to the table. They can help us find the spaces. They can clear away the regulatory challenges. They can help bring new people into leadership positions. And they can help make sure that we have the right incentives to do the right thing and to build this sort of ecosystem. So we're actually very pleased to be here, we know, at a time of big political change, but where clearly there is so much opportunity for change and transformation. And so I do believe that in your REAP Team Rio, with Hudson and his whole team, you have an incredible group of people that are leading this whole activity. But I know they lead from the front, loudly, probably to music, but they do it in a way that I hope and I believe is inclusive, hoping that many of you will think that this is just as important for you and your careers and your city and region as it is for them. And so I really do want to commend them and say that we're incredibly proud of the work that you're doing, and we're absolutely delighted to be here in Rio. Many of us will probably stay a lot longer. You may be bored of us after a little while, and we'll keep coming back to visit you. It's a very special and extraordinary place, and we really do believe that you have much important work to do, and we want to be part of that journey with you. And with that in mind, we would also like to, say congratulations to Team Rio on your new energy and sustainability initiative. And the very last thing that I will say in my last 1 minute is for all those of you that are interested in how you build innovation ecosystems, whether it is in Rio or elsewhere around the world, we would love to welcome you to our Global Innovation Ecosystem Summit. We will be holding that on MIT's campus at the very end of August of this year. It does actually look quite green and lovely. It's not quite as warm as it is here. The water and the beaches are not as beautiful. But we have all sorts of clever people with interesting ideas, and we hope, as warm and welcoming, and we do hope we'll see many of you there. And with that, I will turn the floor back over to Hudson and his colleagues. Thank you very much for having us here. Thank you.